sports are dumb.
Man, sports aren't dumb. And just say sports. There's no reason to be sexist.
No, I meant man like damn. Man, damn.
Van Damme. Blood sport. Am I right? Help me get on the same page as you.
If we view sports as theatrical representations of the Freudian psyche, then the minds manifested in sports sweaty cosplay are clearly dumb ones.
I no longer want to be on this page with you.
You're familiar with Freud's three-part construct of the human psyche, right?
If I say yes, is this going to start to feel like an actual conversation?
You're boned either way. But that's exactly what Freud would say. Then he would say everything's a penis, and then he would do cocaine.
Yes, ego, superego, and the id. That thing, the three. Yeah, I know that.
Yes, and by saying that, you've agreed that the primary reason that we enjoy sports is because they create physical manifestations of those three components and then dramatize their interplay.
No. The actual reason we enjoy sports is because of the hitting and how fast those men are and all the beer that I drink.
Okay, but you have to admit there are clear analogs for each of those three components in sports, right? So take the id. That's the subconscious, chaotic part of the mind that demands pleasure. That's the players. They're the aggressive force. They're the unchained animals that push their way past all the other desires and defy the limitations of reality en route to satisfaction.
Anything's possible!
Then there's the superego, which is the socially imposed moral consciousness that attempts to stop the id's attempts to please itself, aka the refs.
The refs stop the players from pleasing themselves?
Sometimes they do. But they're there to impose society's rules on the players to prevent them from damaging themselves and the occasional alcoholic fan.
Ron Artest going after a fan. Oh my God.
Nobody stops Ron Artest from doing shit. It's like a id's id.
Anyway, the ego has to mediate between the id players and the superego refs while at the same time considering external factors like money, time, safety, basic reality stuff.
In sports, the ego is I know it too. Just tell me what it is.
The ego is the commissioner. It's the commissioner's job to determine how to apply the rules or how to level the competitive playing field, basically how much id to let loose.
As much as possible?
Yeah, but that's why sports are dumb now. Because the commissioners are attempting to constrain the players to safe, predictable performances, which is why they create new restrictions and new safety measures to inhibit the athletic progress we've made. They put a lid on the id, baby! Which in psychological terms represents a subdued, repetitive mind. No genius, no exploration. Just, slam dunks and shit.
Just slam dunks?
Just slam dunks.
So your ideal sport is one where the id breaks free of its superego shackles?
Yeah, my brain demands that.
That sport exists. That's professional wrestling. Oh, you'd love it. The players hit the refs with chairs all the time. And the refs, they arbitrarily enforce the rules. What other sport does that?
Probably other sports that are also not sports.
In wrestling, beating on a superego is expected. In the Attitude Era of WWF, reficide was like a weekly occurrence.
Expander.
Oh, God! Good God Almighty! Oh. Plus, in wrestling, they actually dress up their id characters to represent fundamental human desires. Have you seen Val Venus?
Hello, ladies.
Oh, I forgot his entrance fee is mostly him getting blowjobs.
Yeah, contrast that with NBA players who are forced to wear suits and fake glasses to represent the brand. They aren't even allowed to express their individuality.
Here's the problem with your theory. In wrestling, the results are fixed. That's the ultimate act of the ego suppressing the id. If the id's exertions can't be rewarded with true actualization, i.e. realization of their goals, then the id is effectually rendered impotent. Idpotent! If wrestling is a brain, it's a delusional one.
But if the ideal sport is theatrical representation of the Freudian psyche, then wrestling is perfect because it's overtly theater. We all know the matches are rigged. It is about the journey. That's what we're watching. That's what you said we watch sports for. It's not delusional. It's aware. It knows that it's just having fun. Who cares? Shut up. Have fun. Id.
What about your ego problem?
What about your ego problem, jerk?
Well, it's obviously bruised now.
The ego in wrestling is Jim Ross, the commentator. He interprets the desires of the id characters. He tells us how to feel about them, which ones to root for.
That's it, he's dead. He's broken in half.
He does do that.
He does.
But he doesn't choose between them, which the ego must do.
Oh, but he does. Behind the scenes, Jim Ross's role at the WWE is talent development executive. He finds and develops these id characters before they get on TV. He sets the theatrical wheels in motion.
But wasn't he fired a bunch of times? And wait, and isn't he in wrestling matches sometimes?
How do you feel now?
And hasn't he retired from announcing?
Yeah, but, you know, wrestling's it's dumb now. Oh. There was a bird in it.